Welcome to Session Sunday. Hi guys, it's Jack Edwards, and this week we're focusing on pre-season drills. But before we get into this week's video, make sure to leave us a like and subscribe, and if you missed last week's video, click on the link above. Okay, so moving into the first part of this week's session, we're going to be focusing on an SAQ based drill. But before we get into it, let's have a look at how many players we're working with this week and the equipment that we'll be using. Now, in terms of players for this week, we're going to be working with 8 players. Okay, so we're going to be splitting into 2 groups of 4. But if you have more players and even less players, we can adapt to that as well. In terms of equipment, we're going to be focusing on using balls, cones. If you have poles as well, that'd be brilliant. And then we're going to be using agility, hurdles and ladders. Now, if you don't have access to them, we can just use cones as an alternative and even poles as well. So in terms of the setup for the first part of this week's session, where the hurdles are here, there's just going to be a slight gap, okay, of just 1 yard in between each hurdle. Then there's going to be 5 yards between the first hurdle here and the cone. And we're going to have 5 yards to the ladder, then obviously however long the ladder is, and then another 5 yards here, okay? And you're going to try and set that up twice, okay, so you can have 2 groups going at once. Now how it works is the player's going to step over the hurdles, not jump. So it's going to be using the outside foot to step over. So we're pumping the knees, okay, and the arms, okay, making sure we're keeping light on our feet to step over quickly. So we're going to step over with both feet, step over with both feet, and then step over with the outside foot, and then lead back across with the opposite side. So then come back across, come back across. Then once we get back to here, okay, we're going to shuffle around the cone, sprint out, come through the ladder 2 feet in each one, sprint out and around the cone, back through the ladder again, and then sprint back through the cone to finish. Then as soon as that player is finishing there, next person will go. So we're stepping over, stepping over, stepping over, step back, step back, step back, shuffle out, okay, so staying light on the feet, sprint round, slow down to come through the ladder, sprint out again to acceleration, and then decelerate to turn, and then the same, 2 feet in each one, back through. So again, the footwork is vital, making sure that we're getting our head up as well to assess obviously where we're moving to, retaining our body shape as well, pumping the arms, okay, making sure that we're building power in the knees as well to then explode out. We'll now move into our first animation before moving on to part 2 of this week's session. Okay, now moving into part 2 of this week's session, we're now focusing more on a conditioning based drill, okay, which is going to be focusing on ball work as well. So in terms of the setup for this part of the drill, we're going to have 15 yards of depth and 20 yards of width. Now, 3 players start here at the start point, and then we have 1 player starting here. So how it's going to work is the players with the ball are going to pass the ball to this player here, okay, and then they're going to sprint up, okay, and as they approach, this player's just going to stop the ball dead, okay. And then as the players approach, they're going to spin off, okay, to sprint back down to the start points. Then these players retrieve the ball and they're going to drive with the ball to the opposite side. Then they're going to turn. They're going to pass the ball back, okay. Then the next player who receives it will then pass the ball back to them, and then they will begin to sprint. Okay, like I say, this player's just going to stop the ball, and then as they approach, oh, let's move out the way, okay, next players get ready here, okay, they start to sprint back, these players retrieve the ball, so again, it's that being able to move quickly with and without the ball, and again, then we look to sprint with the ball, maintain control, playing to the player here, okay, they receive it to play straight back again, okay, and then they look to sprint up, okay, so accelerate as quick as they can, we leave that ball, we spin back off, okay, to go back to the start point, and then these players retrieve the ball, drive into space, okay, so staying in control of the ball, making sure we're getting lots of little touches, okay, not letting the ball get ahead of us where we can't stay in control, play it back, and then we just keep continuing there. So you can do it for a set amount of time, and then look to swap. And then what you can do as an alternate, okay, is instead of the pass being straight here, you can play a diagonal pass, okay, but the player still sprint up, okay. So then when it gets to here, this player will still take that ball off this player, okay, and then this player will still take the ball off this player, okay. But then obviously when we drive with the ball, okay, and then place back down here, this player can then open out to go the opposite way, okay, and then that's when they can play this pass to here, but then run straight, okay. So that's just a little progression that you can do as well. We'll now move into our next animation before moving on to the final part of this week's session. Now moving into part 3 of this week's session, we're now focusing on a technical based drill. In terms of the setup for this part of the session, so we're going to have 20 yards of depth and 20 yards of width. So you're going to split your group into 4s. Now if you wanted to have groups of 6, you have to have an extra 2 players here, and these players, instead of what we're going to see in a minute rotating down to here, you can just rotate with each other down here on the same side. So it's going to start with 1-2s here, okay, so this player is going to start with the ball, and they're going to do 1-2 this side, 1-2 this side, and then the side where they've played that second 1-2, this player will then pass the ball out to this player who receives on the back foot. These players start to move, okay, so they're just trying to time so they don't get in the way of the ball. This player who was on this side will then come to this side, and then what we're going to see now is that when this player comes into here, okay, to receive the ball, when they open out and play to this player on the back foot, they will open out, and then they will receive it here, okay, and then these 2 players stay where they are, and then this player will do 1-2 here, 1-2 here, okay, and then we then go again with the players moving, so this player will move back to there, so we're getting a little bit of fitness as well. This player plays out again, opens out, plays back to here, opens out, and then this player times that movement to come in, and again, here we go here, 1-2 there, 1-2 there, and then these players again receive that ball on the back foot, open out. These players aren't getting in the way, so they're just timing the movement, being aware of the surroundings. Then these players open out, and then it goes in again. So after, say, 60 seconds, you can swap it over. So then all you can say is, right, this player, you're going to come to here, you go to there, and then these players start with the ball. Okay, so then they can go 1-2 there, 1-2 there, and then this player looks to move out to here, this player plays out to here, opens out, plays to this player on the back foot, opens out, plays to this side, and then same thing happens again. Okay, so it's a technical drill focusing on obviously the ability to play first time, receiving skills, okay, to receive on the back foot and play, but also a little bit of fitness involved as well. So obviously once the players are tired in here, making sure that we're keeping our passes nice and short and sharp, okay, we're not being flat-footed when we're playing 1-2s, we're staying light on our feet, okay, being aware of our surroundings, reacting quickly, and then moving across to the opposite side. We'll now move into our final animation before concluding this week's session. Thanks for watching this week's video. Don't forget to head over to our website where you can sign up to view over 1,000 session plans like this. And we'll see you next week for another Session Sunday.